I'm divorced from my wife, June, and we have one daughter together, Claire. We divorced on bad terms after I lost my job on the global issue. I came home to an empty house and received a note saying she needed someone who could give her the lifestyle she and Claire deserved. I didn't see Claire for a while because of the restriction on court proceedings during that time. However, I was one of the lucky ones who came out of the global issue better than I went in, and I'm now in fantastic financial shape. I now have 50% custody of my daughter, and I'm trying to make up for lost time. This means, since the world has opened up again, as long as Claire does well in school and helps with her chores, the weekend she's with me, we'll do whatever she wants. Usually things like museums, movies, nearby national parks, festivals in our city, etc. Yesterday, I went to pick up my daughter from school, and June and her husband were waiting there and asked to speak to me. They said the business he used to run took a massive hit during the global issue and has never recovered, meaning that they've had to scale their lifestyle back significantly, including June getting a job. They then informed me that June was pregnant, and they didn't want my spoiling Claire to affect the relationship between the two kids, as they couldn't do the same for their baby. I told them I didn't intend to change how I raised Claire because she was a great kid and deserved to be rewarded for her good behavior. The conversation devolved from there, with June finally screaming at me that I was just some darn Disneyland dad using his money to get back at her. At the time, I didn't think I was wrong. Still, since talking to my girlfriend and some friends in child education, I'm wondering if I am the idiot for setting my daughter and her half-sibling up for conflict. Not the idiot. She left you because of money issues, and now she has money issues with her replacement husband and is reminded of what she's done every time her daughter gets time with you. Good on you for not changing how you raise your daughter because of your ex's poor decision-making. Tell her you're simply giving Claire the life she deserves. Good one. Petty and exactly what she threw in your face. OP's daughter shouldn't suffer because her mom thought the grass was greener, but it turned out to be AstroTurf. Why should you or your daughter suffer because her mother and stepdad are financially unwell? It'll also take years until the newborn child realizes that its half-sister gets treatment other than itself. I agree. By the time your daughter's half-sibling can understand how you prefer your daughter, she'll probably already be an adult. There's always going to be some disparity in blended families because the children have different parents and grandparents with different means. Keep in mind that anything that you give your daughter that she takes home to her mother's house that can be used by the other children in the family, primarily electronics, will cause headaches. Your wife and her husband may demand your daughter share it. Just curious, how quickly did June marry her new husband after divorcing you? Seems like the whole "you can't give us the lifestyle" was just a BS excuse to marry this new guy she thought was rich. But either way, she really took the "for richer or poorer" part of her vows to heart with you, didn't she? Karma's a witch. You sound like a great dad. And too bad. It's so sad for June. I hope you get more custody time with your girl. You deserve it. What I think the ex-wife really is afraid of is the new baby daddy's butthurt ego about being the lesser provider, and the new baby growing up asking some tough questions she won't be willing to answer truthfully. Sounds like your ex is regretting her life choices. I've been taking my tween stepdaughter to dance classes for 4 years. I drive her every week, and my husband, her dad, and I pay for every single fee associated with her dance school. This year, her end-of-year recital lands on her mother's custodial time. Her mom is committed to taking her to the show. I volunteered to be backstage parent, managing the class backstage when they weren't performing, helping with hair and makeup, etc. I did this for the last 2 recitals, and my stepdaughter loves having me there to hang out and support her. The dance school told me yesterday that my stepdaughter's mother asked them to remove me as a backstage parent and put her in. They agreed to do it without discussing it with me first, because she basically told them it was her custodial right. To be clear, nothing in their court order says anything that would prevent me from being able to be around her, even though she's not in Dad's custody. Mom and I have a history of high conflict. I believe she's trying to remove me because she doesn't want me to spend any extra quality time with her daughter. She hates me and my husband. If you're wondering, I have nothing to do with why she and my husband never worked out. I could bow out and accept this because I'm not the biological parent, but it breaks my heart because I love being there, and dance is my thing with my stepdaughter. Am I the idiot if I reminded the school who their paying customer is and asked them to go back on the decision and advocate for me? I want to fight back and give them all the context so they understand why I have the right to be there. But I also don't want more conflict with the mom, who would be upset if the school had my back. If you're wondering, I don't think she would go to the lengths of not taking her to the recital over this, because she must know that would be devastating to her daughter, who's worked hard to prepare for her performance. I don't know what the best way is for this to play out. Edit. My stepdaughter has a wonderful relationship with me and asked me if I would be her backstage parent again, because she had so much fun with me for the past 2 recitals when I did it. However, I think she wouldn't mind her mom being there either, even though she's never been involved with her dance life. Despite our drama, we do a good job of shielding the child from the conflict, so she would be happy either way. You are the idiot. The recital is during mom's custodial time. Doesn't it make sense that she might want to experience that with her daughter too? Why are you assuming it's a vendetta against you? You should attend the recital and kindly explain to your stepdaughter that you will be there, but her mom wants to be the backstage mom. Don't drive a wedge between them, and make sure your stepdaughter knows you still love and support her. Don't alienate her from her mom. She shouldn't have called the school behind your back. She pulled rank, and that wasn't right. However, you need to accept that although you and your husband pay for these classes, you don't have ownership over the activities. She doesn't want to share her parenting time with you, and she doesn't have to. You're the stepmom, but she's the mom. If she would prefer that you step aside during her parenting time, that is what should happen. Your husband can enforce the same boundary during his parenting time. Update. I called the dance school but did not have them change their decision. I gave them all the context. I should have clarified in my original post that she lied to them and implied I wasn't legally allowed to be there on her time, which is not true. The owner of the school says he feels completely manipulated by her mom. He apologized. He offered to make it right and said he and his wife, the co-owner, were comfortable reaching out to mom and telling her that I'm the backstage mom. They also said it would never happen again. I told them I really appreciated that they were owning up to how it went down, but I told them I'd rather take the high road and leave it at that. I told them not to reach out to mom. Let her have it. I also apologized for them having to deal with drama that should have been handled by our family privately. The only thing that matters to me is that my stepdaughters had a wonderful experience. I could have won this, but it wouldn't have been worth it if that created even an inkling of stress for my stepdaughter on her big day. My plan is to tell my stepdaughter, hey, I know I'd said I'd be backstage this year, but great news, your mom wants to do it. You guys will have so much fun together. I'm glad she'll be there for you. Then I'll be in the audience with a bouquet of flowers and a huge smile on my face. Thanks to everyone here, even the idiots. LOL. I, 26 male, lost my wife, Annie, over a year ago when our 2 children were only a toddler and a preschooler. She was only 25. I lost my own mom when I was 5, so I've been where my children are, and my heart aches for them as well as for myself and for Annie, who so desperately wanted to be here for our kids. She lost her own dad when she was 6, so the reality of history repeating her hit her incredibly hard before the end. I vowed to her, to myself, and to our children that I would not make the same mistakes my dad and her mom made in the aftermath. I'm mostly estranged from my dad, but after Annie died, he reached out to tell me he hoped I understood him better and to cut him some slack for everything. I didn't respond to him at the time because I was in the most immediate sense of grief still. Today it's still raw, but I'm in therapy to try and find peace in my life. He reached out to me a few more times and apologized for his initial message. We met up a few days ago per his request. Once he realized I still wore my wedding ring and was still grieving, he tried telling me I needed to move on and start looking for love again. This led to tension in the meeting, and I told him to drop it or else. That's when he started saying he hoped I would see why he remarried so fast after my mom died, why he was so happy with his second wife, and why he felt I needed a mother like he was so sure I felt my kids needed. I hated him for being happier and loving his second wife more, but I should understand better now. I should know that life has to move on, and wanting to embrace a new person entirely is not a bad thing. I'm a widower parent, and that should have opened my eyes and made me regret hating him for so long. I told him it didn't work that way. That only made me judge his actions more harshly. He was stunned to hear this. He asked me how I'd find someone else to love me and the kids if I was still hung up on Annie. And I told him Annie was the love of my life. I told him my children are the other two loves of my life, but in a different way than Annie. It's my job to give them safety, security, love, and the best life I can make happen. I told him I would never look my young children in the eye and tell them their mother's dead and they need to get over it and accept a new mother. I will never yell at my children for crying for their mother because it makes the new spouse unhappy. I told him I'm not looking to give them a new mother. I'm looking to provide them with the best version of the dad they have and the best out of this crappy life we've been given. I told him I would never rub it in their faces the way he did to me, that I love someone else way more than I ever loved their mom. I told him I understand grieving and needing to focus on yourself, but not hurting your children by trying to erase the parent they love. He called me an idiot and I left, and I wondered if I was too harsh. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot, maiden, you know it. You owe him nothing, while you owe your children, as you said, the best version of yourself. Your father truly has some nerve to come over and tell you how to grieve, rubbing in how he loves his new wife more than your mother. That's blatantly evil. My condolences for all the hardship you've had to endure. The fact that in the face of OP going through the loss of his wife, his dad's first message to OP is basically an I told you so type of message speaks volumes. Some people experience pain, which builds empathy for them. Others experience pain, and they decide no one's allowed to say it hurts because it hurts for them. Peace to you, my friend. Decades have passed, and your father still sees himself as the victim. He was cruel because it suited him to be so. You were not cruel, but you were honest. He used his power to diminish you, and you're using yours to shelter your children. Maybe lose his number. Dad is selfish. Stay low contact until he has something positive to add to you and your children's lives. My friend is terrible with money. He's always broke and never had a real job. He comes from a well-off family and lives off allowances, about $1,000 a month, despite being 24 years old. About a year back, he borrowed $100 from me to pay to go clubbing or whatever. The dude texted me while I was pulling a 16-hour night shift. I told him to pay me back within a month and transferred the money. I asked for my money back exactly 1 month later, but he said he had no money. Months went by, and I stopped asking for my money back as it was a lost cause. He's the type of dude who can't save money at all. He'd get $500 from his dad and blow it within a day or two. I simply refused to give him any more loans. Last week he texted me and asked for a $1,500 loan and promised to pay me back in installments. He told me he would pay me half the money he gets from his dad until the debt is paid. He wanted the money for a new iPhone. I told him that literally every mobile carrier offers 0% and 0 down contracts, but his credit is so bad that he can't even qualify for that. So I told him that I would loan him the $1,500 if he paid me back the $100 he owed me first. Of course, I'm not a fool and had no intentions of even lending him $1. He agrees and transfers me $100. I got a request for $1,500 from him the next day. I declined and told him I wouldn't ever loan him a dime. I told him to get his act together. Either stop blowing your money or get a job. Of course, he goes on about how I scammed him and that I act like a female. Not the idiot. You act like a female? What the heck does that even mean? I have to appreciate his nerve. He sends you a request? My foot. This is karma at its finest. Good job on getting your money back. That was clever. Of course, he's not going to listen to your advice to get his act together. At this point, I would block him. He's just being a nuisance. A serial scammer gets scammed, asking to borrow money from someone with no real intention of paying it back, whether it's $100 or $1,500, is a scam. Bad credit is not limited to a credit score. You can develop bad credit with family, friends, and females as well, and it sounds like he's done just that. Good on you for not enabling his poor money management. Your friend's supposedly rich family won't loan him the $1,500? LOL. Why should you? That's what I tell him. And his credit is so bad, he can't get the most basic financing for a phone? Again, if he can't pay back a business that reports his behavior to financial institutions, then he certainly won't pay you back. Also, what the heck? He has no job at 24, but he has money for parties. He is clearly incapable of functioning like an adult. If the roles were reversed, he wouldn't help anyone else out. Clearly. I, 34 male, have been married to my wife, Michelle, 32, for 4 years, and we've been together for 6. Michelle also has an older sister, Sharon, 34. Sharon and I were close friends growing up because we had the same interest. She was into sports. We did the same activities together, etc. We were pretty much best friends, and I sort of considered her more like my own sister or an extension of me because we were both so similar. We even pursued the same field in college. We dated many different people, but never each other because we were basically like siblings. I never really spoke with her sister Michelle during our teenage years because she was 2 years younger, and we also had nothing in common. However, a few years after Michelle graduated college, we started talking more often because there was a sort of romantic attraction and tension there. I asked her out shortly after. We dated for a couple of years and we married. We also have 2 children now. Through all of this, Sharon was really happy for both of us, and she thought we were perfect for each other. A few months ago, Sharon called me to her apartment because she wanted a serious chat. She basically admitted that she had feelings for me for a long time and that she knew it was wrong. She was crying really heavily, and she said she didn't want to ruin my and Michelle's lives, but she had no one else to talk to about this. This whole thing was a massive surprise because I always thought Sharon considered me like her brother. I told Sharon that I wouldn't tell Michelle about this because it would really ruin their sibling relationship and the entire family dynamics. I also told Sharon that she needed to go to therapy to address these feelings, but that I would always be there to listen to her. Sharon has started online therapy, and we've maintained our distance. Still, she occasionally comes to me to talk about her therapy progress. Am I the idiot in how I'm handling all this? Oh man, if your wife finds out that you kept this from her, she's going to assume the worst, and this little secret will totally blow up in your face. Don't you think she deserves your honesty? Why are you loyal to the sister instead of your wife? You are the idiot if you keep this from her. Exactly, dude. That was what I was thinking the whole time I was reading. It's not a good idea to be the person she leans on either. He's breaking his wife's trust by keeping secrets from her and putting herself in a position to be manipulated by the sister. She's in therapy because she has feelings for him, and then he entertains her and allows her to use him for emotional support. It's an absolutely stupid move.